One this evening to our City of Bedford Common Council meeting, Stonegate Arts and Education Center, 931 15th Street, Tuesday, April the 21st at 7 p.m. Larry, would you please lead us in prayer?
Everyone bow their heads, please. Father, as we come here this evening to guide our city, please watch over our leaders. Please watch over our citizens. Watch over our firemen and policemen and our employees of the city, because we all want to make Bedford a better place. Watch over our country. Watch over our troops overseas. And just keep us all in your hearts and minds, and watch over us all. Pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Brad, would you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, sir. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Calling our meeting to order, we have approval of the minutes from March the 17th, which was a regular meeting.
motion to approve as presented, Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion actually from Craig.
Oh, sorry. I didn't.
All right. Larry, would you like to second?
You want a second?
Sure. Hurt my feelings, but yeah, that's all right.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Old business that was just presented, there was no voting on it. Last time was ordinance 7-2026, repealing and replacing chapter 51 of Sewers of Bedford City Code. Misty?
Proposed 51041. It was to do with reports of accidental and sludge discharges from a industrial user. IDM has required us to have immediately time frame with that within so many hours. We had originally had as soon as practical, so that has been changed to immediately within 2 hours. And then also within that same paragraph, if there is an internal or operating monitoring data indicating a pretreatment standard is likely to be violated, that the notification on that is 24 hours. So those are a couple of the changes that we have there. So.
Does the council have anything for discussion?
Mayor, I would make a motion that we approve ordinance 7-2026.
I second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I would entertain a motion for a second passage, if so.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And we will address our third and final passage at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to new business. Resolution 1-2026, 2027 NDOT 5311, 5339 Transit Grant Authorization. Dennis?
Thank you, Mayor. We are in the process of completing the Federal Transit and NDOT grant, operating grant for 2027, and one of the documents that has to be submitted is this formal resolution signed by a city representative, in this case Mayor Craig, that says we will indeed comply with all the stipulations that they present and provide transit for the public within the city limits of Bedford. So I would ask for your consideration tonight in passing this resolution so we can submit our grant.
Thank you.
Chief, kind of off the subject, but are you planning on transporting folks to the polls on May the 5th?
Yes,
You're-
yep.
Good,
For
great.
open election days, yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mayor, I would move for approval of Resolution 1-2026-2027.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Compliance with Statement of Benefits CF1 Tax Abatement, Justin M. Davis, Davis Property, Anytime Laundry Real Estate. Justin, would you come down to the podium, please? If you can just tell us a little bit about your abatement, if you feel like that you've done everything in your abatement that you were stated that you would do and how it's going.
Okay. I feel that currently we have 3 employees. I don't know what I put down on that sheet, the original sheet, but all of which are part-time employees. We hope to add another one this upcoming year. Thursday, we're shutting the laundromat down to concrete the entry. Only like part of that entry is concreted, and then in a couple months, we're going to put concrete curbs in. We've been encouraged to wait just a little bit longer to pave it, just because we put a lot of fill in that area. So next year, we'll pave the parking area. But I don't remember exactly all the details that was put on the original form that I filled out, but
Okay. It appears that you possibly listed 1 to 5, and salaries you listed at $15 an hour.
that would be correct. We're at 3 part-time employees.
Okay, all right. Does the council have any questions?
You say you had 3 employees now, Justin?
Yes, part-time.
How is business? Good?
It is, yeah. So far, I don't regret the decision.
Any other discussion?
I do hope to maybe bring a laundromat in-house. We're looking into a machine called a presso, and if that be the case, then we'll be able to do that in-house.
Okay,
The dry cleaning.
all right, okay, all right.
Where are you taking it now?
Seymour.
Okay. All right, if there are no other questions, thank you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate, hope you're doing well.
Thank you.
We need a motion for compliance.
You want a motion for compliance? All right. I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the compliance statement of benefits for Justin Davis.
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Compliance with statement of benefits, CF tax abatement, Charles Hensley, DH 20 Properties LLC, real estate improvements. Chuck?
We have renovated the old Great Escape Theater on 2929 Great Escape Drive. We've put in a full-service restaurant, golf simulators, arcade. We'll have a full-service bar. We're planning on starting the new building before fall. It'll be another 14,000 square foot building, and we currently have 30 employees, and we plan on adding more when we do the new building.
What's all gonna be in your new building, Joe?
New building will have a skating rink in which it will be we'll be able to put 8 pickleball courts in there also and use it for volleyball, and we'll plan on putting 12 lanes of bowling.
Council have any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, Chuck. Thanks. Ordinance 9-2026, amending the zoning map rezone of property for K&J Investments LLC, John Williams Boulevard at Limestone Drive from I-2 to B3. Kevin?
Thank you. This is a request from K&J Investments to rezone the property they own at John Williams Boulevard at Limestone Drive. The property is 5.62 acres and is known by parcel number 4706 15300 062.000-010. Property is currently zoned I-2, and they would like to rezone the property to B3 for use as a commercial space. A portion of the property is currently a section of the parking lot and the drive-through for Culver's. Another section of the 5.62 acres will be the location for a new Del Taco restaurant. On March 24th, 2026, a preliminary hearing was held with the Planning Commission for this request, and it was approved and moved to a public hearing. Prior to that public hearing, notices were sent out to adjoining property owners and advertised with local media. On April 14th, 2026, a public hearing was held with the Planning Commission for the request, and after discussing the request and hearing no objections from adjoining property owners, the Planning Commission approved the request for the rezone to be moved to the City Council for final approval. I now ask the Council to approve the rezoning of parcel 4706 15300-062.000-010 from I-2 to B3.
Any discussion? If there's no discussion, when appropriate, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for the approval of ordinance 9-2026, amending the zone map to rezone property for K&J Investments from I-2 to B3.
I
I'll second.
You're not going to make that.
We got a second by Larry. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I would entertain a second passage.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
I second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Mr. Mayor, and I was going to ask, I was under the assumption, because I know when they were coming to approach the Planning Commission on this, that there was some delay in figuring out the zoning situation, and you guys have been pretty well, and Cole, it's okay if I ask, Cole, there's some issues.
Excuse me, if he's going to answer, he needs to come down to the podium.
You guys are put a little bit under the gun as far as trying to get this rolling, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct. With banking commitments and training issues that we've set up, so we'd be a little bit behind it. I'd like to request if we could have a third vote tonight.
Well, I'm going to make the motion make a motion to suspend the rules so we could have that third vote.
Okay. We have a motion to suspend the rules. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Second by Larry. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Then is there a motion for a third and final passage?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Heath and a second by Ryan. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now we have a LTAP presentation. David, you want to speak?
Yes, I'm going to introduce Pat Connor tonight. He's from LTAP, which he works out of the other Indiana University up north around West Lafayette. So don't give him too much of a hard time. But he's got a presentation for us tonight on the wheel tax. So I'll introduce Pat Connor.
Thanks, David. Appreciate the introduction there. Thank you, Mayor and the city, for having me tonight. It's a pleasure to be here. I got a long presentation. I'm going to go through it fast, and so don't worry if you saw the slide deck that had maybe 30 or 40 slides in it. I'll try to get through it really quickly. And I think there's a couple points that I just want to hit home that we'll spend some more time on. I did bring these. On the front side is what we calculated the wheel tax and excise surtax revenue to be for the city. And then on the second page is what it is from the Lawrence County. So this is what currently is for the Lawrence County, and in the front side there's what it would be for the city if the city were to adopt it. So I'll go through that in detail later, but while you guys are listening, I just wanted to point that out to you there. So
What does LTAP stand for?
it's a good question. I got about 8 slides on it, and I'll sum it up in about 30 seconds. LTAP stands for Local Technical Assistance Program. So we're a program out of Purdue University, as David said, the best university. And I gotta be careful what I say down here, but our job is just to provide training. We do some research. We provide resources to local government to help maintain their transportation network better. So everything that we do we're funded partly out of the Federal Highway Administration, and then the local share the motor vehicle highway account. We have an advisory board that AIM sits on, county commissioners, about every local entity in the state, AIC, NDOT, Federal Highway, other people from Purdue to help direct our program. I say all that to say we are here as an education and training resource. I've done this presentation from some counties who insist that we're here to lobby that you should adopt this tax. Because it means more money for our office. It's not the case at all. I come here unbiased. My goal is to provide the education and information you need to make the best decision going forward for the community and answer any questions there. So dealing with road funding is a lot what we do. So I won't read these slides to you, but there's a lot there. We have training, research, innovation, safety, communications, asset management. I'm the asset management engineer, so I help collect all the pavement asset management plans to help communities apply for the Community Crossing Expansion Grant Program. So I work really closely with Kathy McAllop and NDOT and all the changes that's happened the last couple of years on that. So the wheel tax and excise surtax, it's 2 different taxes. So we call it LOHUT in our office, Local Option Highway User Taxes, to throw another confusing acronym out there, but sometimes LOHUT is easier to say than wheel tax and excise surtax. We'll go through those on what they are here in a second. But it was originally passed in 1980 by our state legislators to help provide local communities with another way to help fund their highway departments. In 2016, they changed or added language to the statutes for municipalities to be able to adopt the wheel tax and excise surtax. Here's some other changes to the law over the last few years, which anything on here to highlight. 2017, so when they originally adopted in 2016, it was probably hard to read there. It looks like the formatting got a little tweaked out of balance there. But they said municipalities with a population greater than 10,000 have the ability to adopt the wheel tax and excise surtax, and then the next year they changed it to communities with a population of 5,000 were able to pass it. But more recently, this last year, where it's become more and more I've done this presentation a dozen times over the last year because of what came out of House Bill 1461, which was passed by state legislator last year, that tied community crossing expansion grant program to the wheel tax and excise surtax. So I think I have some more slides on this later, but I'll just go through it right now, and then I can skim over it later. But the community crossing expansion grant program that everybody's familiar with, if you guys are familiar, I'm not sure how familiar you are with it, but it has been about a $250 million a year program that cities like Bedford and Lawrence County can apply for. And there's usually been enough money in that pot of money to be able to give every community almost what they ask for. So it hasn't been super competitive. But this last year in 2025, they changed that program to where now, instead of $250 million going to the grant program that you're familiar with, it's now $100 million into the grant program. So it's going to be less than half or more than half of what it was before. And so it's going to become much more competitive. Not every community is going to be able to get awarded the grant funds that they apply for. You do not need the wheel tax and excise surtax to be able to apply for the competitive grant. But the other part, the part that they changed or added, is this what they call the lane mile direct distribution. So they project that to be $80 to $90 million every year. There's a lot of variables that go into that, like one being there's $50 million set aside for Marion County and Indianapolis. If they can match that with $50 million. If they can't, that $50 million will go into the lane mile direct distribution and increase that significantly more. But assuming Indianapolis and Marion County come up with the $50 million match, they'll get their $50 million, and I'll leave about $80 to $90 million next year for the lane mile direct distribution. To get that lane mile direct distribution, you must have the wheel tax and excise surtax. And just because Lawrence County has it, doesn't make Bedford qualify for that. So every community has to have their own wheel tax and excise surtax to be able to get that direct funding. I have numbers calculated on what that would be for the city later. I can't remember off the top of my head what it would be, but what that would be, say it's $100,000, I feel like it was somewhere in that ballpark. That would mean the city of Bedford would not have to apply for that, and every year, if you keep up with your asset management plan, you'll get that $100,000 direct distribution to the city. And then currently, NDOT says there's a $1 million, the threshold's $1 million right now. A couple years ago it was $1.5 million. It may go lower, but right now it's $1 million. Say it stays at $1 million, and let's say the city of Bedford gets $100,000 from the lane mile direct distribution, then they could apply for the other $900,000 out of the grant program. So it's just a no application direct distribution. The other big change this year, so before this year, what you see on the slide there is what we call stacked and unstacked. So if the county had the wheel tax and excise surtax, and then say the city of Bedford adopted it, then the residents of the city of Bedford would have to pay that twice. So all the communities that have adopted the wheel tax and excise surtax before this year, those residents are paying twice. Going forward, this is where Bedford would fall in, they took that away. So now the residents of the city of Bedford would only have to pay the city of Bedford wheel tax and excise surtax, and whatever rates you set those at. If you put them at the county's rates, then there would be no change to what the city residents would be paying for the low hut. So now you know why we call it low hut and not wheel tax and excise surtax. So there on the right side of the screen there, the unstacked, that's where Bedford would fall. I put the other one on there just to show the difference and the change in legislation that happened just this year. I threw this slide in there too. I think we're past the point of no return on this, so I'll just skim through this real quick. But so the September 1st date that you see there on the right is the typical date that the wheel tax and excise surtax has to be adopted by in order for it to go into effect the next calendar year. We renew our vehicles on a calendar year basis, so it starts January 1, and in order for that to start January 1, you have to have your ordinance adopted and sent into the state by September 1st. This year, they got a one-time allotment. If you had it done by May 1st, then you would get the lane mile direct distribution for this year. But it's probably, I think time-wise, you have to have it publicly announced so many days ahead of time in order to pass that ordinance, to where I think you guys, you could double check on that, but I think we're getting close to the limit there. So I think Bedford would be out of it for this year, but if you guys were to adopt it before September 1st of this year, then you get the lane mile direct distribution next year and start collecting the wheel tax January 1st of 2027. How it's implemented, like I said, it's 2 different taxes. You have to have both of them. They're kind of married together. You can't have one without the other. You have to adopt them concurrently. If you want to rescind it, you have to rescind them both. So you can't have one without the other. So what the 2 are, so there on the left, the municipal, the surtax, the excise surtax, is your passenger vehicles, your pickup trucks less than 11,000 pounds, motorcycles, mopeds, trailers less than 9,000 pounds. That's the excise surtax, and the rates for those are a minimum of $7.50 up to a maximum of $25. Rates may vary between the different classes, so you could set the trailers at the minimum rate, and the cars and trucks and motorcycles at a higher rate, or all different rates in there. And then the wheel tax is the like semi-trucks, semi-trailers, buses, RVs, those type of vehicles, and those rates range from a minimum of $5 up to a maximum of $40. And again, those rates can vary between vehicle classes as well. So every vehicle pays one or the other. No vehicle pays both of them, and it's not a per wheel fee. You know, it is a per registration fee. So it's kind of a misleading name to the wheel tax. A lot of people say, oh, well, we have 18 wheels on our on our semis. Do they have to pay that 18 times? No, it's one per registration. Wheel tax is a per plate. Yeah, there it is. I got ahead of myself. Wheel tax is a per plate. It's per registration. There's some exemptions. Vehicles owned by the state agency, owned by the political subdivision. So if they're owned by the city of Bedford, you would not have to pay it. School buses owned by the city would not have to pay it. And church buses and funeral vehicles are all exempted. All other vehicles, I get the question a lot of time, well, you know, when we do this for counties, maybe it's not such a thing here in the city, but like they want to exempt their farm vehicles, and like what, you can't do that. It has to be at least at the minimum if it's not one of those vehicle classifications there. The effective date I mentioned is September 1st. That's for adopting it or rescinding it. It has to be done by September 1st and sent into the state by then. And here I just added this slide, and this is not required, but I've learned that this is a best practice, is to coordinate with the B&V ahead of time. Tamitha Cooper, I work with her quite a bit, and there was like one county last year that went through this and passed it and adopted it, and they didn't include all the different vehicle types, so the B&V rejected it, and it was at the last minute, so they got kind of kicked out to go back and revise their ordinance and go through that process again. She's offered just, you know, have them send it to me, we'll go through it, and I think I sent David a spreadsheet that they have that has all the different vehicle classifications on there. So when you're developing your ordinance, if you guys decide to go that way, follow that spreadsheet and all those vehicle classifications on there and assign dollar amounts to each one of those vehicle classifications. And then after you adopt it, you'd have to send your approved asset management plan letter and your ordinance. Both of those are the 2 requirements to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. And it also says the Indiana Department of Revenue, but really from what I've spoken with them, it's really the B&V. If you send that to them, B&V sends it to the Department of Revenue, but based on statute, it says both of them on there. I can give some more guidance, they can help you out, Tamilton can help you out with that, or I can help you out with that as well. This is basically says the BMV does all the work, they collect it, well, all the work, you guys do the work in passing the ordinance, but the BMV does all the work in collecting the revenue. They keep 15 cents per plate, per registration. The rest of that money comes directly to the city. So if you guys adopt it at $25, this BMV keeps 15 cents and the other $24.85 comes directly to the city to be used in the highway or the street department. And that money comes in directly from the comptroller on a daily or weekly basis, so it comes in pretty frequently. How the funds can be used, it says that county, city, or town may only use the surtax revenues it receives to construct, reconstruct, repair, or maintain the streets and roads under its jurisdiction. So it goes to the street department to help fund the paving projects and other work that they do. This slide just kind of, I almost took this slide out, but I wanted to show that, last year there were 16 municipalities that have adopted it so far as of date. There's 36 that have adopted it, so more and more cities are adopting this wheel tax and excise surtax to help to get the lane mile direct distribution, I think is the main emphasis there. And there's 12 more counties that adopted it this last year as well. The estimates there you have in front of you. So this is where the slides differ than what I changed these. When I first came up with the slides, I looked at what Lawrence County had adopted and I thought it said $25 for every vehicle, but I was mistaken. The trailers are set at the minimum rates. So the original ordinance by the county said trailers are at $5. But since 2005, when the ordinance was passed by the county, they moved some of those trailer classifications up to the excise surtax category. So that minimum is $7.50. So that's what you'll see there on your adjusted calculations there. So looking down at those calculations, I'll just get down to that. Yeah, so the numbers are a little different from what you see on the screen there. That was based on the original. But if the city were to match what the county had, $25 across the board, and then the minimum rates for the trailers, the revenue for the city would be about $332,000 coming into the city. And then what's not on the slide, and just to compare that to, if you flip the page over to what the Lawrence County calculations have, you can see that the city is getting around $200,000 a year. These are estimates. I didn't get these confirmed by the comptroller's office or the city clerk to verify this, but from our numbers, it's about $200,000 a year that you guys get from the county wheel tax. So if you guys were to adopt your own, instead of getting $200,000, the city would be getting, depending on what rate you set it at, anywhere between, the minimum there on the left is $100,000. The maximum is $364,000. But with the lower trailers and the lower rates for the excise surtax, you'd be at $332,000 based on these estimates. And I can help if you want to change those numbers at all and see what those actual estimates would be. I'm happy to help with that as well, or even send you the spreadsheet that we use to calculate this. This just shows on your example of a vehicle registration there, that blue box up there, the municipal wheels and surtax. This is where it would show up on your vehicle registrations. Wherever that rate was $25, you'd see $25 in there. And then, yeah, we already kind of talked about the lane mile direct distribution. There's where, yeah, so 80, there's a couple different variables, and it's been kind of tricky to nail down what like each city or county would get in that lane mile direct distribution, because it's one pot of money, and the more people that adopt a wheel tax and excise surtax would distribute that money out more. So those ranges vary between if every city and town and county adopted the wheel tax, versus the ones that have it as of today. So that if the pot of money that was available was $80 million next year, next June 30th, City of Bedford would be looking at getting somewhere between $95,000 and $133,000. If it's $90 million, that range would be at a minimum $106,000 up to maybe $150,000. So there's a lot of different variables to go in there, but it kind of gives you a range on what that expected revenue would be. And of course, if Indianapolis wasn't able to match their $50 million, that would go up about 50% more. So closer to $150,000 to $200,000 in there. So. This just shows the fiscal impact statement that I used to estimate that $80 to $90 million for next year. And what else do I have on here? I think I've gone through all that. I'll leave that questions right there, and happy to take any questions that you guys may have and ladies may have.
Patrick, I just want to, and I think you laid it out pretty clearly, but I feel like it's the most important thing that needs to be reiterated. If we were to do this, just to clarify, there wouldn't be a double tax on any of our citizens. It'd just be transferring the tax they're currently paying to the county to the city.
Yep.
And if we keep the same rates, nothing
changes from the resident's point of view. If you do the same rates, yep.
Right, yep.
The only change of Lawrence County would get less revenue from their wheel tax because now it would all be coming to the city.
And the city, by your estimations here, if we kept the same rates, would get
More
more
money,
than what
correct.
the county's currently giving out to us. Thank you.
And the reason for that is the county wheel tax comes into the county, and since Lawrence County is less than 50,000 person population, the way they distribute that money is 80% based on lane mileage and 20% based on population. So you see a little bit more of that money going towards the county in those counties. If the county population is greater than 50,000, it's rated like 60% based on mileage and 40% based on population. So there probably wouldn't be a huge difference in that case if Lawrence County was above population of 50,000. But since you guys are less than 50,000, financially, the city is bringing in more money and the county's getting a bigger portion of that. So,
What is the cost to pave 1 mile of city streets? Just wondering. As an
when you say
example.
pave, are we talking mill and overlay? Are we talking about reconstruction?
Just
there's a
the mill
wide range.
overlay, too.
Mill and overlay, I'm not sure. David, help me out here if you got good numbers, but a mile of roadway is.
$20,000 per mile.
No, I would, per block.
block,
To
okay.
do a mile, you're probably in the $250,000 range
right.
per mile. Maybe $150,000 to $250,000 in that range.
Some roads we do are only 20-foot wide, 24-foot wide, and we've got Park J Street at 4750 feet, and so it hit all these barriers. There's no good way, depends on how many castings are in the road, it depends on a lot of things.
Yep.
Counties are always fit.
They are. They're more consistent in there. Cities are all over the board there. You got utilities, you got stormwater, you got manholes to go around.
And it costs us more to pave, David, because most of our streets we mill because the curbs and we don't get, so that ain't, with the county usually just lays and goes.
And again, obviously we're all, I imagine, selfishly from being citizens and council members of the city here, are a little biased towards the city, but simple fact is Bedford's getting more road traffic than anywhere else in the county anyway. So, to me, it makes more sense that, we're getting the bigger share of the pie in that front from my perspective. But
Well, that's, as far as in advising the public, granted, Heath, from the standpoint, we're going to receive more funding if we adopt the wheel tax, but then, other than this money here, then we're also talking about the lane miles.
Correct.
Which is going to be added again on top of that. So our citizens, I would think, would be very pleased for us to do this because we're going to be able to do a lot more for our streets in the city, which will benefit all of our city residents. So, yeah.
Yeah, if you add in the lane mile direct distribution and the difference, $250,000 increase with no additional cost to the residents.
Correct, yes. Okay. Does the board have any other questions or concerns? If not, we greatly appreciate you coming down and giving us this information.
My pleasure.
Moving on, we have Resolution 2-2026, resolution authorizing transfer of funds, RDC Public Safety Reimbursement. Lily?
Yeah, in October of 2025, the RDC Board approved the reimbursement of the police officers and the firefighter stipends. This resolution will satisfy the State Board of Accounts requirements because it's changing from one fund to another fund. It will be done in June and December, and it's not to exceed the $220,000. So this resolution will approve that.
Make a motion, we approve resolution 2-2026.
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. On to Resolution 3-2026, resolution authorizing transfer of funds, RDC Economic Development. Billy?
Okay, in December of 2025, the RDC Board approved the quarterly reimbursements of 35% of the salaries of the Director of Business Community Development and the Plan Commissioner, plus benefits. And it's not to exceed $79,800. This resolution will satisfy the State Board of Accounts requirements.
I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 3-2026.
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. All right, now we have Stonegate Arts and Education Center update. Linda?
You should have all received the handout that we provided. First off, the first quarter of this year for Stonegate, a revenue update. We've done very well the first quarter. If you look at the top page on our projected revenue for just building rental, we went from $8,000 to last year this time to revenue of $17,000, a little over $17,000. So our total revenue for this quarter compared to last year is about $8,000 increase from last year, and so we're pleased with that. The Stonegate Board continues to review our rate sheet. We did at the last board meeting make some further adjustments on the rates and increase the rate for using the black box here, and for the micro offices outside this the Brenninger Hall, we raised the rate on that. Any questions about our revenue before I jump in?
The rental jump in revenue, is that from new customers, just more use? Is that from the rate changes? Mixture
A
of
little bit
everything?
from the rate changes, the increase in customers, but the jump, if you look at Vincennes University, that's 7,596.
Right.
About 2,000 of that is for this clinical credentialed medical assistant class that we get a partial payment, but the rest of that is funds from, they're doing training for General Motors for the skilled trades, and I'm getting ready to invoice them another $2,600 here for this month. So they've normally, just history, we used to build General Motors and it'd take up to 2 years to get paid, so we scratched that, and so now their training provider pays us directly rather than deal with General Motors, so we get paid in a timely manner. We went, I think they owed us $13,000, took 2 years to collect it way back, so that's a never again, so learned. Some building updates, and this, the Growth Council made a connection for us with Trilogy Health, and they are looking to maybe, and I think Ryan may have a connection with this, look at making Stonegate a regional training hub for their employees. They partner with a nursing school out of New York, and they would be training their employees, CNAs, LPNs, and RNs, and we would be the site. They would be basically buying out 2 classrooms on the 3rd floor, and we're kind of excited. It'd be a boost for Stonegate, but also for our community, and I don't know if Dan wants to say something about that, I don't know. But we're looking forward. The next step will be the school nursing approving us as a site, but I don't think that'll be a problem. We're approved by Ivy Tech and Vincennes University, so it shouldn't be a problem. Indiana Digital Learning, that's one of the virtual schools that's been here for, I think, 4 years. They just reserved additional classrooms for 2027, an increase of an additional $3,000, so they're going from $6,000 to $9,000 for 2027. And that's a direct result of the increase in students going to virtual schools as well. So, grants submitted, some of this is the same. The new grant I submitted was the Ready 2.0 Arts and Culture Grant. The Lilly Endowment gave the state $60 million for arts programs, and they told us to think pie in the sky, so some of this is a match, but we're requesting specifically out of that grant about $191,000. That grant is over 30 months, 2.5 years. So, and in that grant, I've asked for monies to cover our admin, our utilities, 15% of my salary, and increased janitorial coverage and things of that nature, and also some equipment to upgrade the black box here, so that we can continue to expand what we do with the arts. So. Any questions? No one cares. I'll go on. Just arts update. I passed out a flyer here before the meeting started. Our second lunch with the arts will be Friday, May 8th, and featured will be the Nostalgia Band Quartet. So you can go online and buy your tickets, and would like for you to do that. We will also have lunch with the arts July, and it'll be a mini version of the Home of the Brave production. I don't have the specifics on that yet. Programs and classes, Kids Camp, we will be having Kids Camp, but we are not going to partner with Ivy Tech this summer. We're going to go independent of Ivy Tech primarily so that we can lower the cost. The cost last year, they bumped it up to $125, and they wanted to up it additional this year. And our advisory group said no, and all the instructors are local art teachers, and they said, you know, let's not do that. So we are going to be able to provide arts classes for under $100 per kid per week is our plan. So Stonegate should make a little money, but also would be much more affordable for families in the community. So you get above $100, that's really tough for our families to be able to afford in this community, especially if they have multiple kids. You will also see this fall, North Lawrence is loaning us, they may not get returned, but some guitars, and we will offer introduction to guitar, and then with Andrea, we hope to offer introduction to violin classes in the fall as well, something new for our community. With the advent of the lunch with the arts, we are using a new service called Ludus, which you can go online and buy your tickets, and we will be using that new service for registration for our classes and everything. That kind of gives you background there. Collaborations, we continue to work with the School of Public Health and to check in and check up. They are here once a month on a Friday. This Friday, they'll be here for a couple hours, and any organization, nonprofit, or business that's needing help with writing a grant or a project, or they need some help with something, they are here to offer technical assistance. And we've been the first call-out meeting, we had about 30 representatives from different organizations across the community. We're averaging about 6 different organizations that come dropping in to check in and check up each month. So it's been pretty good, I think. And then the Growth Council and Stonegate will be partnering with Indiana Wesleyan University to offer a lunch program on AI, and that's to be, we haven't determined a date. I think we're supposed to have a Zoom call here in a couple weeks to work out the details on that. So, and community engagement is pretty much the same. The media update on YouTube, we will be restarting the Veterans History Project video series. That'll be launching here in a few weeks. Brad may know the start date on that. I didn't have the start date. I don't know. A couple things with workforce development. Working with the North Lawrence Career Center, we have a young lady, an intern who was placed aside, had a shoulder injury and can't continue, so she's our intern for the rest of the school year, and we've been putting her to work. And then Work One, they have a employment program, training program for those, I think 16 to 24, where they'll place them with an employer and pay their salary rate and cover the workman's comp to give that individual some experience. So we had a gentleman to start with us last week. He's doing very well, and working with on janitorial activities. So, and then last year, we partnered with Indiana Wesleyan to offer the Leadership by Design class for supervisors, and we are going to offer that again for employers, and a tentative start date is July the 24th. Heidelberg has already committed for 3 participants, but we'll be marking that in the next few weeks as well. So, any questions? No one cares?
All right, thank you, Linda, for the update.
Great job.
Families Forever update and request consideration for allocation of $20,000 in restricted opioid funds. John?
Good evening, folks. Thank you. On behalf of our board president, Jonathan George, we appreciate this opportunity to speak to you tonight about the services we provide. In the letter that I wrote, you'll see that we've been around for 20 years now and providing services to the community. Our services are entirely free. While that's great for the community, it presents some substantial challenges in ongoing operations, but for 20 years we've gotten creative in sustaining that. But this evening we're here to request $20,000 in restricted opioid funds to support our services that focus on drug and alcohol assessments, as well as case management to adults from our community who are needing additional support. We partner with those from criminal justice, as well as those who walk in off the street and those individuals with limited resources. We do serve a unique population given that our services are free. Many people have health insurance, others do not. And even if they have health insurance, doesn't mean that they can afford the cost of things like assessments which we provide. Over the past year, per quarter, on average, we've served 93 individuals through case management services. 50 individuals are often referred to us during a period of 3 months, and we have an average of 16 individuals completing substance use counseling each quarter. We are a small organization, but the money that we're looking for will provide upwards of 600 hours of services directly to the community, and we are not seeking any cost for overhead or admin fees. It's solely for direct services. And we are located in the Little White House behind St. Vincent Dunn, or ICFR.
Thank you, John. Does the board have any questions? Billy, do you recall in '24 was the last time that we provided any opioid restricted funds for this group, I do believe?
I think so. We looked that up.
Yes.
You have provided funds in the past.
It was in '24. We didn't do anything last year, so just for information. So.
Can you just briefly describe the assessment, case management process, like what that exactly?
Our assessments are explicitly related to drug and alcohol use.
Right.
Oftentimes we get referrals from probation for those assessments. Case management is oftentimes involving goal and treatment planning based off of the assessment, helping people to get their life back on track, helping them to deal with the different stages of change associated with substance use and recovery, leveraging community assets and resources. to ultimately improve their quality of life.
How many children do you assist with this program?
We do not directly, for what I'm seeking here, we do not directly serve children. However, in the other services through Families Forever, we do support children through our truancy prevention programs, through our mentoring programs, and we also rent space to a treatment provider, Twin Springs Counseling, that provides counseling to children. And we also have a partnership with IU School of Social Work to provide practicum placements with MSW students in partnership with our local schools.
Any other discussion, or if there's a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we grant $20,000 from the restricted opioid fund to Families Forever.
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I abstain.
Craig abstains. Okay. All right. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Update 2026 OR Housing Program Grant Funding Adjustment. Sarah.
Good evening. So last month I requested the council approval for what we believe was the appropriate match to secure the full $350,000 municipal award for the owner-occupied rehabilitation program with Okra. Since then, we've learned that there's been a change to the program requirements. Instead of a 10% match on the grant award, Okra now requires a 10% match of the total project cost. When you add the $350,000 award plus the $35,000, the total project cost is $385,000, which means that our contribution is actually $38,500. So I'm asking for the additional $3,500.
So the ask is if you wish to approve this, and then we have to go through the application process.
Correct.
You might touch base on that a little bit, how that will work for this year.
Sure. So there's two open cycles, one in June and one in October. And so we were hoping to apply for the June cycle. And if for some reason we're not awarded, then we could apply again in October. So that money does not go into the program unless we're actually awarded. And also, I wanted to follow up, Councilman Griffith, you had asked a question last month about if there was ever a city that did the match but didn't get the full award. And I spoke with Johnny Kincaid, who is our Okra representative. He said that that's not the case. So as long as we hit the minimum, we would get the $350,000.
All right, so that's a little bit how the program works, and we might not get either one of them, is a possibility. But if the council's in agreement, we would like to approve this, because the outreach from the citizens last time we did this, as we talked about before, was huge. It was unbelievable.
Right, I think we had 107 that were interested, and then 17 we were able to help with the last award. So this would put us in a position to help more homeowners.
Yep. Okay. Any questions or discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to allocate the additional $3,500 for a total of $38,500 for this application.
Okay.
I second.
All right. First and second, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Thank you. So, all of you received a handout. Mr. Flynn, Street Commissioner, met with Amanda Patton. That is the individual reference to the packet on the raccoons that you received. And David, if you want to comment, you met with her and spoke with her. If you want to have any discussion on her input. My plan on this is to give you the information so that you can review it, and then we can decide where we want to go from there. I think she is requesting to come and talk to the council if possible, so that she can relay her interest.
She would like to. This would be a change of our ordinance, so to allow captivity of a wild animal in the city of Bedford. I guess DNR allows this with the proper credentials in the state. Some cities specifically, don't allow this. Some cities do allow it. So I just met with her and gathered the information and told her that I would give it to the mayor and he could present it to see where you wanted to go with it from there.
Okay. And I had one question that, because we refer to cats and dogs basically in the city, and that is something that if these animals are running at large, that we can see about picking up. But if a raccoon was in that category, is that something that you would pick up if it was loose running around town?
I would not think so. We normally do not do that now, and we stopped that because that was a lot of our calls were collecting skunks and raccoons and possums and everything else, and bats. We've done a variety of animals in the past, but we had chosen not to do that anymore.
But if we change our ordinance, and then that may be something, that's my point, if we change our ordinance.
Still would not be a domesticated animal, so I don't know how you would interpret that.
Okay, so whenever we look at this, there's quite a bit to consider as to how we want to actually address this. So that's why I wanted to give you the information. There's quite a bit there. This next 3 weeks or whatever, you can kind of review it, see where you're at with it, and then we'll pick it up at our next meeting and go from there. All right, thank you, David. Also, for the council's information, all the council members are aware that we did apply through the state for a food and beverage tax, and everyone is familiar that that did take place. The state did pass that. So, and of course, I guess for the public, we've not acted on this yet as far as any tax. It has been approved by the state. Council is reviewing the legal side of it before we see what we're going to do to see exactly how this money can be utilized. As far as to, in a lot of areas, being used in some of our city revenue spots, that then we can take that revenue and put back into the general fund from the standpoint of, in 2018, we all know that we're going to see substantial cuts in property taxes, and we're still not sure exactly what's going to happen to LIFT. So we're trying to be proactive and be prepared to have an option to do something, depending on how much our revenue drops, to be able to increase our revenue if it's something that we wish to do, or at some point in time if we decide that we're going to cut services. So this is something that council is going to continue to work on to give us some answers on how these funds can specifically be spent. We worked with Baker Tilly on some of this, and they referred that aspect of it back to legal counsel as far as interpreting the law, exactly what we can spend some of this money on. So that is in the works. We're working on that. I talked to RDC briefly today. We have some of our TIF areas that, in working on this, some of our new areas, Limestone Edge, Wawa's, possibly Del Taco's, some of these places that, even though they're in a TIF district, we can reset that TIF on those certain areas. They're continuing to work on that, and they anticipate having some documents ready for our next meeting for us to look at to see if we want to take action or not. So what that will do on some of these specific properties where the existing TIF would be running out in, say, 25 years or whatever, 20 years, these would have a new start date for today, so they would extend past what the original TIF would expire, which would just be additional income for the city. So we're also continuing to work on that. Misty and I met with a gentleman today talking about the wells for our water. We're continuing to work on that. We met with him and got a lot of information. He was very involved in the wells that were put in for some of our neighboring areas down by the river. So we went over a lot of information with him, and we're still working on that aspect to kind of see where this takes us, to look at that option as far as to the water wells. We're continuing to work on a city flag. We're getting close to wrapping that up. I've talked with some of the council members on that. I anticipate, hopefully, and will be an ordinance or resolution, I'm assuming? Resolution that would go through the council whenever we adopt a city flag. And that's something that I'm really looking forward to from the standpoint of all these years that the city of Bedford's never had a city flag. And I think that's something that really should be very important to our city. So that's a few things going on. One other thing we're working on, and I encourage the council, if they have any input on our, I've referred to this many times as our new council chambers, but I think at this point in time, I'm looking for input to have a different name for this. Because as we stop and look at this, it will be used for the council chambers, but with what's taking place with social media, this is going to house all of our meetings basically for every city department. Our police pension board, fire pension board, parks department, planning and zoning, any board that we have is going to be operating out of this building. So we're looking at different names, whether if it's the Bedford Conference Hall, Bedford Meeting Hall. We're looking at some different names on that to see what we're going to come up with. We're also in the process, things kind of pile up at times trying to get things done, so we're working on trying to get the estimates to go ahead and have the front of this building power washed and cleaned up like we have some of our other buildings before we put any additional signage on it, which I think is very important that we do. So we've got a lot going on in the city from that standpoint, and we'll continue to work on these to get these across the finish line and get them done. The meeting hall is moving right along. I anticipate we will have our May meeting here, and I anticipate, unless something happens, that we will be in our new facility for our June meetings. And I'm very excited to get there, to say the least. So hopefully we'll get that taken care of and get it lined up and get it going. So that's all I have. Council have anything else for comment?
How's the pool looking? Are we gonna be ready for Memorial Day to be open? And
Yeah, Larry, I can't remember. I was at the park board meeting today that was here, and Jimmy announced the date that they were going to open. He said everything was on track for them to open, so they're actually getting ready to do some painting over there and getting some things in order to get ready to open. But I don't want to specifically say the date that he said.
No, okay.
But yeah, that's in the works. Out at Otis, they have also been working on the water issue out there going under the road that goes up to the top of the hill. I'm sure a lot of you have been out there and probably seen that. They've got a lot of that piping in, so we're still working on that. Once all that piping's in, then we're going to address that road going up there for safety reasons as to if we're going to move it over a little bit and specifically what we're going to do to make it a little bit safer for people to drive on. So, with that being said, if no one has anything else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Stand adjourned. Thank you.